Sup everyone, it's another tactic that's not a 4-2-3-1, but it kind of is. How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Now, as I said, and as you may know by now if you've watched any of my previous tactic videos, I'm trying to explore Football Manager and get away from 4-2-3-1. Now today, you might see a little star in the thumbnail. It's not a 4-2-3-1 that you're used to, but it is a 4-2-3-1 in theory. Now today we're going to go through a load of teams that I've trialled this tactic with. Right at the minute, right above us here, you can see I'm doing it with Club Bruges. They're currently in December and they're currently first, so it looks like it's doing okay for Bruges. Now, very importantly, before I get onto this tactic, not to hold anyone up, but you've got to remember this tactic is for very good technical teams. And the key players you're going to need are your attacking midfielders and a striker. As you'll see in some of these tests, it's not faultless. So some of the teams that don't have the quality in these areas may struggle a bit. Your elite teams are going to cane it, they're going to smash it, as we'll see first with PSG and Porto. Alright, so here's PSG. Now, anyone who saw my previous video where me and Mega Luke took on PSG with Messi will know that that team is loaded with some of the best talent in the game. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But they still had to do it, and they did, winning 31 games, 114 goals, no defeats, and only 11 against. Gets more impressive when we get to this stage, and you can see that they won everything. They won everything with this tactic. So they won the Champions League, and not only did they win the Champions League, they won it 5-2 against Liverpool. They won the French Cup, and they won the Trophée des Champions. So they won the quadruple with this tactic. That's PSG though, and that's PSG amped up. Other big teams have been used. Let's take a look. FC Porto next. Won the league like they probably should. They only lost 4 games. Best defence in the league. Best goal scorers in the league. The rest of the season, competition wise, it was a case of nearly qualified for the Champions League. Runner-up in the European Cup to Arsenal. Runner-up in the Portuguese Cup and the League Cup. And they won the Super Cup. So decent. Work to do in areas, but still very good. Right, on to Dortmund now. Borussia Dortmund beaten Bayern to the title by 4 points, and if it wasn't for a little end of season collapse there, it would have been free and clear. 83 goals, best in the league, second best defence in the league. Dortmund take it down. Competition wise, knocked out in the first knockout round by Man City. That can happen, but they won the treble, domestic treble. Now, what you'll see is goal scoring in this tactic for your main striker, like I said at the start, can be huge. Check out Haaland. Right, there's Erling Haaland, 52 goals in 49 games. So that's your main striker. Your other main guy in this tactic will be the guys in behind him. For example, back at PSG, Neymar is in behind Mbappe, and Neymar comes up with 33 goals and 22 assists. So you can see those roles in behind the striker are key as well. Speaking of Mbappe, while we're here, in this tactic, he bagged 68 goals in a season. Next up, we go into teams that aren't quite fancied to win the league. So this time we use Fiorentina, predicted to finish 8th or 9th, but they finished 5th, 1 point off the Champions League. Really happy with that. Really happy. And we'll get back to why I'm so happy about it. Remember at the start when I said you're going to need good players to really get the most out of this tactic? Well, Fiorentina were pretty lacking in a couple of key areas, which we'll get to later, but they still managed to finish 5th. Similar, Everton up next, finishing 6th, so not too bad, just below the big bunch of Liverpool, City, United, Arsenal, Chelsea, so probably the brink of where they could finish. Also, in competition wise, almost won the Carabao Cup, finishing runners-up, so good stuff there. Atletico Bilbao finishing 7th, qualifying for Europe, not via the league position, but by winning the Spanish Cup. And I almost forgot, at the same time I ran the test with Dortmund, I ran it with an unfancied team in Hoffenheim, and they killed it by finishing in the Champions League. Great result for Hoffenheim, and their main striker, so this tactic can turn a pretty average striker into a bit of a machine, because their main striker, Andrej Karamic, 31 goals in 46 games. And finally, the one that we just watched, as we were talking at the start, Club Bruges taking down the Belgium title pretty damn easily. Best defence, best strike force. Now, let's get to the tactic and we'll talk you through it. There is the tactic, and I've got it on with PSG and their brand new sparkly team, which is just ridiculous, isn't it? Look at them names. But there you can see it. It's a 4-2-3-1. Wink. It's narrow. We're going dead narrow, and we're relying on those 3 players in behind Mbappe to basically cause havoc. Causing havoc. Now for those guys who are on consoles who need player instructions, stay tuned, they'll be coming as well. You can see the basic setup. It's an aggressive high press formation. We're playing it short and we're going to ping it around. Now these boys are absolutely key because they're going to create everything. Like I clicked on Neymar before, you can see 33 goals, 22 assists. Lord Messi in behind, 32 assists, 20 goals. You can see they're supplying the bullets. You've got Di Maria as well, 11 and 12. Your other important players are obviously your wing backs. PSG are blessed. They've got Hakimi, who's provided 14. On the other side, they've got Bernard, who provided 19. So they provide the bullets, leaving Verratti to supply 7. He's not doing that. That's not his primary role. And Wijnaldum as a ball-winning midfielder, those boys are holding it all together. They've got some serious work to do in this formation. You can see the team possessions down there, team instructions, sorry. So it's short passing, playing out defence. It's very tiki-taka style, but it's a lower tempo, so they're holding onto the ball a bit longer, using the boys up front to do the hard work. For all of the teams, the defensive record was pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Even the weaker teams, such as your Hoffenheim and things like that, still very competitive. So now we move on to those all-important player instructions. We'll go from the back and we'll move on up. If you're happy with this and you don't need to sit through this, dudes, the download is in the bio, in the description there. Just knock yourselves out. But I would recommend you watch the next chapter about how you can improve the tactic, because there are ways you can improve it. But for now, the player instructions. Okay, let's start off with a wing back. There's Hakimi. What we're adding is shoot less often. We don't want him doing that, and marking a little bit tighter. That's it. Dead simple. Same on the other side. 2 wing backs doing the same thing. Alright, dudes? Now, in your middle, you've got your 2 ball playing defenders. Again, I'm asking Marquinhos to shoot less often, whereas Sergio Ramos has got a bit about him. He's got a bit about him, so I'm letting him. So much, in fact, by the way. Check this out. Ramos ended up with 13 goals this season. Yes, a few from corners, but he's got it in his locker. Now, the midfield too, I'm not asking them to do much at all. They're basically the glue that seals this team together. So Verratti, nothing added to him. And Wijnaldum, shoot less often and just mark a bit tighter, because them 2 boys, they're going to have to hold their position in there because the wing backs are bombing on. These 4 doing what the hell they want. So them boys, don't overcomplicate things in the middle. Now the 4 pimps up front, you'll notice on these player instructions that they are all the aggressive ones. So you've got Neymar, for example, risks, dribble more, shoot more often. Same goes for Big Leo, exactly the same. He's already got a few hard-coded in, but the ones that aren't, they're in there, shoot more often. And Di Maria, the only slight change, he's going to drift a little bit wider because he can do that. It's not essential if you've got really good attacking wing backs. I just like a little bit of variety up there. I've also got them all marking tighter, so opposition defences find it a bit more of a struggle to play out from the back. It's the same with Kylian Mbappe. He's got the aggressive ones on there. I want him taking more risks because he can do that. Look at his flair, for example, 18. Dribble more, it's Kylian. And again, those other 2, just to nullify the opposition defence. That's your PIs. Very simple, but effective. So how can you improve this formation? So remember what I said about Fiorentina. Now, they finished 5th, and it was kind of despite the players. Bear in mind, all these tests I've done with the various teams, I've made no signings, I've used what they have. So some of the players aren't suited to this. So, for example, remember how well those boys in behind Mbappe played in the attacking midfield position. So I've got Valhalovic there, and he's come up with 20 goals in 41 games, 19 in 38 in Serie A. Pretty damn good. Obviously not as prolific as Mbappe, but that's to be expected. Now the issue these boys had, despite finishing 5th and very nearly getting in the Champions League, was the boys in behind didn't contribute as much as I'd like. So you got Ribéry here, for example, 41 games, only 6 goals, only 11 assists, still played pretty well. On the other side of him, you've got Bonaventura. This is where it starts to fall off a bit. Only 2 goals, 11 assists. And in the shadow striker role, you've got Kwame. Decent again, 12, but only 3 assists. So you can see there's a bit of a drop off there. So if I had a bit of time with this Fiorentina team, that's where I would look to strengthen, because they're not quite there. They're more set up for a free at the back system, really. If you look at the wing backs as well, 8 assists from the right hand side, not too bad. Left hand side, only 5 assists. So there is areas you can improve. The areas you really want to look at are your wing backs good enough? Are your number 10s good enough? Now, if you find you're getting a bit too exposed, because look, there's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacking roles there, you can bring them back a bit. What I'd recommend is dropping your wing backs to support perhaps, and possibly one or two attacking midfielders as well, possibly for away games, for tougher games as well. I'd err on the side of caution of dropping it to Bowen in defence because they will drop it a little bit too deep. I'd still keep them aggressive, but your options are drop your wing backs back a bit. But the key thing is, if you're going to use this tactic, have a look at your squad. Have you got the players for it? If not, go and find them. Now the attacking midfield roles, we'll get onto that next about what you should be looking for. So I brought up Luis Alberto, one of my favourite players in the game. Now if you slot him in that attacking midfield attack role, you can see what bangs up straight away. And it's a very technical position. Flair, off the ball, his vision, first touch, dribbling. They get the vibe, so if you're lacking there, you're going to struggle a bit. It may be you can retrain a young player into that role, like one of your wide men, but you really, really need ideal players for this formation. Otherwise you're going to be dropping off a bit like the Bilbao boys did. A bit like Everton finishing 6th. It was good, just not quite great. So there are areas you can improve, but the key roles undoubtedly is your attacking midfielders. So that's the wrap, folks. Hope you found that handy. Again, the download is below. If you like this sort of stuff, drop the channel a sub. But that close to 3,000 now. Any questions at all, bang them down below. I'm going to go and work on some more tactics now and try and whatever we can to have some different tactics other than that 4-2-3-1 wide, which by the way is a great tactic, but let's find some more.